How's everybody doing? Good to see you. Man, round of applause. Love it. Hey, we are in week 2 of this series, Empowered. And I've been excited about this series for a long time. And really the truth of what's behind what we're trying to say is, as a believer, you are empowered. And last week we talked about how you're empowered by God's love. And once we realize how much we're loved by God, that is when we can love others well. And it's really this idea based on this scripture, Romans 8, verse 11, the Spirit of God who raised Jesus from the dead lives in you. Say, lives in me. One more time. Come on, say, lives in me. So the Spirit of God that raised Jesus from the dead lives in you. And what an amazing thought that is. That power is available to you. And so last week, this week, and next week, we're talking about some of those things that are available to us that we may or may not know are there. And this week, the simple thought is this: we are empowered to live fearless. You are empowered by Jesus to live fearless. Man, I don't know about you, but I hate with a passion being scared. I hate being scared. So if you want to startle me and you want to be around a corner and jump out and scare me, you might get punched. Not because I want to punch you, but maybe part of me does, but because it's a reaction. I don't like to be scared. Nothing in me likes it. In fact, when Angie and I were first married, we went on a trip to Disneyland, and my wife's name is Angie, and she talked me in somehow crazily to go into a haunted house. And you may be a fan of haunted houses. It was one of those cheesy ones that are probably for little kids, but for some reason, I hated it. I was yelling at all the people in there, like, what are you doing? What are you trying to scare me for? And I was so mad. I probably didn't talk to Angie for a week after that, just because, I had free choice. I could have said no, but for some reason, I just don't like to be scared in any way, shape, or form. And actually, when we were first married, we also chose to watch a movie. And it wasn't like a horror movie, but it was a super intense movie. I think it was that one where they go upstairs and check the kids because I'm in the house and I'm going to kill you. And some crazy, scary movie. But it took us, no joke, 3 times to watch this movie. Couldn't watch it at night. That was out of the question. And we would watch it for 20 minutes, and then we'd have to go outside and go on a walk around the loop in the sunny summer day so we could get back to reality and realize that this wasn't real. Took us, no joke, 3 times because neither one of us like to be scared. And I don't know about you, where you stand. If you like the adrenaline rush of being scared, that's all fine and dandy. I personally don't. And maybe you watch a lot of the news and maybe you're into that. But if you listen to a lot of what goes on in the news, you can get pretty fearful. You can get scared because there's just a lot of bad news. I'm not really a news guy either because I don't like to live in fear. Jimmy Fallon, the greatest late night host, I think, he does a thing called I've Got Good News and I've Got Good News. And what they do is they get real life reporters to read stories that we wish were true, things that make us feel better. I thought we'd watch an installment of I've Got Good News and Good News.
I got good news, I got good news, yeah.
In politics, Congress is going on recess next week. And yes, I do mean that kind of recess. Nancy Pelosi and Marco Rubio called dibs on the tetherball court.
It has just been announced that the Dow Jones Industrial Average, fast food chain Chick-fil-A, and rapper Bow Wow are all teaming up to form the Dow Chicka Bow Wow.
This just in, stressed, spelled backwards, is desserts. Think about it.
A record number of drivers have been pulled over this month to be told their driving is fantastic. Keep up the great driving, America.
There was a robbery downtown earlier this afternoon. Wait, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. It says there's free pizza for anyone who wants it, and it's delicious.
The FDA reports that raw cookie dough is now legally considered a vegetable. So if anyone judges you for eating it straight out of the fridge, they're an idiot.
In personal news, check me out. I'm reading the news with my eyes closed, and I'm nailing it.
2 men in ski masks entered a bank today, but they weren't robbing it. They just had cold faces.
Republicans and Democrats have signed a new law that requires all of your Facebook friends to be doing slightly worse than you. Not too bad, just enough so that you're doing the best. Way to go, Tiger.
And finally tonight, you're a good person. Seriously, I know you have your doubts sometimes, but everyone in the world was just talking it over, and we unanimously agreed you're the best.
Right? That's some good news, right? Now, if the news was that, I'd watch it every night for sure, because cookie dough is officially a vegetable. I'm in on that. So those are lighthearted things about fear and worry. But I want to ask you today, what do you fear? What's in your life that's trapping you or enslaving you in some kind of worry? Maybe there's something going on in your marriage today. Maybe there's something going on in a relationship with a loved one. Maybe there's something going on in your finances or your health. Or you live in fear about a news report. And don't mishear me today. That the point is not don't ever fear. The point is we have a choice to live in it or live in what Jesus says. So you're going to feel fear. You're going to have fear try to come on you and rule your life. And I've been there. And I'm often there where I feel fear for my kids or for the safety of my family. And I've let fear rule me. And I've been worried and I've been kept awake at nights. But then there's been times where I've let my trust in Jesus rule me, and that's a way better place to live. In not trusting in what I feel or what comes on me. Because you can't control when you feel a little bit of fear on you. It's going to happen. You're going to feel something. But what you can control is if you choose to stay in that. So the Bible doesn't say ever to not fear or not feel fear, but it says to don't live fearful. And so the next time you feel fear, I think the first step for you to recognize is that feeling is not from God. God does not instill fear on the inside of you. God does not put fear there. That's not from God. And actually in 2 Timothy 1:7, it says, "For God has not given you a spirit of fear or timidity, but He's given you a spirit of power." Say power. Of love. Say love. God's given you a feeling of power, of love, and self-discipline. So recognizing first and foremost that fear is not from God is important. Because sometimes we want to beat ourselves up. We want to say we don't deserve good. We deserve harm. And so I'm going to fear things I see in the news. I'm going to fear situations that could happen. The bank may do this. I'm going to fear losing my job. So where are you at today? What do you fear? First and foremost, that's not from God. God gives you power, love, and one version says sound mind, peaceful mind, not of worry, depression, and doubt. God says you can live fearless. And we're going to go to a story in the Old Testament in Numbers. And contrary to popular belief, Numbers is actually a great book. It could be a little boring at times, but it's got some great stories in there. And we're going to pick up the story where we're talking about Moses. And Moses has been empowered by God to free the people from slavery and tyranny in Egypt. And that's when God sends the plagues on the land and sets miraculously his people free. They come to the Red Sea, and he splits the sea so they can walk right through it, and they cross the land, and now they're living in the desert, and God has given them a promise. God has said, I will give you the promised land. I'm going to let you live in the promised land. And it's an amazing land. It flows with milk and honey, and there's some amazing stuff on it. And so the children of Israel are looking for this. And Moses says, okay, I'm going to send some spies, because there's about 1 million children of Israel at this point. And he says, okay, I'm going to send some spies to go see this land, see what it looks like, see if it's really flowing with milk and honey. And those are words of prosperity, which means this land is just amazing. Milk and honey just didn't flow back then. And so for a land to actually produce that was incredible. So he sends out these 12 spies. And they go and they find these amazing things. So it says in there that they grab a cluster of grapes, and it's so big that 2 men have to actually carry it. They say that maybe one grape was the size of a small baby. Like, depends on how big your baby is, but the amazing fruit. They bring back pomegranates and they bring back these amazing grapes. Beyond comprehension, this land is absolutely incredible. But what I want you to notice in this is it's the same situation, but there's 2 completely different perspectives on what they have in front of them. And I want you to ask yourself the question, where do you lie today on the perception of wherever you're at? And so we're going to jump around in Numbers 13 and 14 a little bit because I want to establish both perspectives on what's happening. And in Numbers chapter 13 and verse 27, this was their report to Moses. We entered the land you sent us to explore, and it is indeed a bountiful country, a land flowing with milk and honey. Here's the kind of fruit it produces. So Moses and the people see this amazing fruit. But the people living there are powerful, and their towns are large and fortified. We even saw giants there. They go on. The land we traveled through and explored, it will devour us. It will devour anyone who goes to live there. They're already matter of fact. And maybe in your situation today, you're already matter of fact. The bank is gonna foreclose on us. We're probably gonna get a divorce. You're already saying it's a done deal when maybe it's not yet. And maybe your fear is beginning to overtake your life and you're laying awake at night because the fear is so strong. This is where they're at. It will devour anyone who goes to live there. All the people we saw were huge. This problem is huge. You don't have any idea what I'm facing. I don't. God does. They go on in verse 33. Next to them, we felt like grasshoppers, and that's what they thought too. They feel like nothing. They feel like grasshoppers, which can just be stepped on and forgotten about. So that's how they feel. Sometimes how you feel becomes a reality. And that's what they thought too. They don't even know how those people feel. There's no record of them having conversation with people in the land. Sometimes we prescribe feelings to other people that aren't even true. Like we think our neighbor or our friend or our loved one who we're in an argument with has a certain feeling of hatred towards us when we don't even know that that's true. But we begin to feel it and we begin to act off of that. And it may not even be true. The bank is just too big. They're not going to care about my mortgage and the fact that I can't make the payment this month. It's just they're going to foreclose and I have to move. Or our marriage, she's just too far gone. She's going to say no. She's not going to want to fight for anything. And we begin to say these things and fear begins to creep in our life and we make this pool for ourselves. And we start to live in this pool of fear. Forgive the little kid pool in this serious analogy. Right? We give a toy, right? We play around in this. And we live in our fear. And phrases we begin to say. We say things like, the biggest one is what if? What if my job lets go of me? What if the doctor brings back a bad report? What if all is lost? It could be devastating to our family. It could and it should be. But the bank is just solidified in what they're going to say. Or we can't. We've tried to fix this marriage and we just can't do it. It's too hard. Right? That's what the children of Israel are saying at this point. They're saying it's too hard. The people are too big. The report is too hard, is too tough. We can't fix this. We can't make it work. I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. I don't have the capabilities. We don't have the finances to overcome this debt. I'm not qualified enough to get a better job. I'm not skilled enough. They are too powerful. They are in the relationship. They are not doing right, and they'll never do right. They'll never think right. They'll never change. They are what's wrong. Fear says all of these phrases, and we just live in this pool of fear. And we wade in our worry. And we hang out here. Again, I'm not saying you can't feel fear, but I'm saying you have a choice where you choose to camp. Where is your foundation today? Is it in your fear? Do you say these phrases over and over and over again in your mind about whatever you're fearful of? Maybe you're fearful of a law that's about to be passed with the vaccinations. Whatever side you're on, whether you agree with it or not, I'm not saying don't stand up or fight for what you believe in, but what I am saying is, does fear control your life? Does fear control everything that you do? Because God hasn't given you a spirit of fear. Right? Here's the same situation, but there's two different perspectives. There's 12 spies, and 10 of them are saying this. 10 of them are saying, what if, and but the, and I'm not. We're not strong enough. And sometimes the majority is wrong. Sometimes most people are wrong. And it's the same thing in this scenario. 12 spies, 10 of them are saying this, but 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, reply completely different. Joshua and Caleb reply completely different. In Numbers 13 and 30, Caleb, he speaks up first. He tried to quiet everybody. As they stood before Moses, let's go at once to take the land. He said, we can certainly conquer it. They both saw the same thing, but Caleb says, we can do this. It may seem bleak, it may seem hopeless, but we can do this. Joshua jumps in a little bit later. Numbers 14, the land that we traveled through and explored is a wonderful land. And if the Lord is pleased with us, and that's obviously he's saying the Lord is pleased with us because they just got freed from slavery. They just went through the Red Sea. They saw God do amazing miracles. And so it's like a rhetorical, if the Lord is pleased with us, he will bring us safely into the land and give it to us. Same situation, different perspectives. It's a rich land flowing with milk and honey. Do not rebel against the Lord. And don't be afraid of the people of the land. One of God's most repeated commands in the Bible is do not fear. He's not saying don't feel fear. He's saying don't live in your fear. Don't be afraid. Feeling afraid and being afraid are different. Don't be afraid of the people of the land. Get this. They are only helpless prey to us. One person says, we will be devoured. One of them says, they're only helpless prey to us because we know God's on our side. And let me tell you today, God's on your side. God gives you power. And so whatever you're facing is only helpless prey to you. They have no protection because God's not on their side. But the Lord is with us. Don't be afraid of them. Joshua and Caleb are trying to encourage the majority. They're trying to encourage most people. They're trying to encourage what looks safe, what looks fearful. They're trying to say, no. They live in the pool of faith. They hang out here. Doesn't mean it's always easy, but they choose to live in faith. They say things like God is faithful. God will be there for us. I choose to believe who God said he is, who he was. He's the one that delivered us out of Egypt. He's not going to let us down now, guys. Come on, don't forsake God because God is loving. God is faithful. God is gracious. God is almighty. God will be there for me. We can do this. In our marriage, we can overcome this. in our relationship, we can beat this. We will not fear the troubles of the world, but we will count on God. Nothing is impossible. All things are possible to him who believes, is what the Bible says. These are faith phrases, not fear phrases. He will do what he said he will do. He will bring us into the promised land. You see people that will devour us. I see people that we can overcome because God is on my side. I love the phrase, let's go. Let's do it. Let's go get in some marriage counseling and fix this. Let's go tackle what we need to financially. Let's get on a plan and let's do this because we can. We can do this. It doesn't make everything go away, but it's your perspective change, and that's the first step to understanding your fear is not from God, although you may have it. You can step out and step into it. Don't be afraid. You have to tell yourself that over and over and over again. Although this seems really scary, this seems really fearful. God, I'm going to choose to live in the pool of faith. It's summertime, and so you might be seeing a lot of water. You might be jumping in pools and lakes and doing a lot of stuff this summer. And when you do, I want you to ask yourself the question, what pool are you living in? The pool of faith or the pool of fear? Just because I'm sitting over here doesn't mean I don't get splashed. Doesn't mean I don't feel fear and see it, but I'm not going to let it overtake me. I'm not going to live in it. I'm going to live in my faith. I'm going to constantly tell myself, God, I'm relying on you. See, fear takes over when I give more weight to my what if. I give more weight to my I can't. I give more weight to my addiction. I give more weight to what I'm doing than what God has already done. Right? That's what we talked about last week. We talked about how God is faithful and God loves you despite everything you've done. And from God's love is what empowers us to live a life that can overcome addiction, that can overcome our sin, not wallowing in how horrible of a person we are, but wallowing in God's gracious love and free gift to us. We give more weight to our own efforts than we do our God is faithful, God is gracious, God is loving, God is there. God is able to do, the scripture says, exceedingly abundantly above all you can ask or think. God should be heavier than your what ifs. Doesn't mean you're not going to ask them. Doesn't mean you're not going to think them. But how's your reply? Is your reply to God is faithful? Underneath every what if, there is a God is. Underneath every what if, it could, I can't, is a God is there. God is faithful and gracious. I don't know what you're facing today. God does. God knows how heavy it is on you. And he wants to set you free from living in fear. Two things to pay attention to when you're talking about fear and living in fear. Your intake and your outlook. And if you find yourself feeling incredibly fearful, you're awake at nights, you're restless. It affects how you love those around you because you're so fearful of what could happen in your relationship or in your finances. Or maybe it's a business deal. And you're just so fearful of what could happen. I want you to pay attention to your intake and your outlook. We talked a lot about our outlook. But your intake, what are you listening to? What are you sowing into you? What's your feeds on your social media? What's the news that you watch and listen to? Nothing wrong with watching the news. But do you let that take root deep down? Because the news and a lot of media out there is just trying to instill fear in you. So you'll buy their product, you'll do what they think you should do. Fear, for some reason, sells. Right? The news isn't going to report on the thousands of planes that landed safely today. It's not a news story. But then they're going to report on the one that does every other year or whatever it is, and then you're going to be fearful every time you get on a plane. or terrorist attacks, or you're going to be fearful of what could happen to your kids if this law passes, or this law doesn't pass, what could happen to my kids for the other kids, whatever the case may be. What are you listening to and letting take root deep down in your heart? This is the first question to ask yourself. If you are overcome by fear, what are you listening to? Psalms 91 says this. It says, those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest. Not may find rest. It could happen maybe. No, you will find rest. If you live in the shelter, if you live in God, if you live in His Word, and you live in His presence, it's a byproduct. You can't help but feel peace. The Bible says that you'll experience peace that's unrecognizable, that's incomprehensible for you to understand. Peace is so unattainable that you can hardly understand it because you're living in the shelter of the Most High. You will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. If you're living in the knowledge of news and negativity and bad things are happening, sickness is happening to all of these people, things are happening to all of these people. If you're focused on all of that, that's what you'll see and feel. But if you live in the shelter of the Most High God, it's shelter. If you live in God's Word, and that's what is fed to your soul, you'll just have rest. You'll just have rest. Last week we talked about how we're empowered by love. We're empowered by God's love in order to love others. And it's a free gift. God loved us so much that we don't have to work for it or earn it or continue to strive for it. But we can rest in the fact that God loves us. And we read 1 John chapter 4, a lot of it. And today, we're going to read a little bit more in 1 John 4:18. Such love has no fear. So God's love, God's perfect love. When you understand how much God cares for you and how much God loves you, I know on the outside, God loves you is very simple and it's easy for me to understand. But if you dig down deep and you understand how much God loves you, this love, God's perfect love, not your love for God, because that's going to go up and down. But God's love for you is what's consistent. And that is perfect love. God's love for you. That love has no fear. Because perfect love, God's love for you, expels all fear. If we are afraid, it is for fear of punishment. If we get afraid, it's because we think we're not worthy or we think we deserve it. Like, I haven't put what I needed to put into my marriage, so that's probably why it's fallen apart. So then we begin focused on us instead of God's love and God's care for our relationships, God's care for our health. I haven't taken care of my body like I should have, so I probably deserve to be sick in this bed. Or my addiction, I'm stuck in my addiction and I'm realizing that it's my fault instead of focusing on how much God loves me in my mess. Right? We said last week that we already are the righteousness of God. We don't have to earn it. When we said yes to Him, we immediately became righteous because of what He did. And that love, understanding that acceptance from God, is what gives us no fear. For it is for fear of punishment. The verse goes on and says, and this shows us living in fear that we have not fully experienced God's perfect love. If we're fearful, maybe it's because we don't understand how much God loves us and how much He's going to care for us and how much He's going to wrap His arms around us in the midst of hard times. Can I say this truth to you, that God is not punishing you? God is not mad at you for how crummy of a life you think you've lived. You don't have to keep earning God's acceptance. You don't have to keep working for God's approval. You've already got it. So stop trying to earn it and live in God's love. Don't work harder to let God approve of you. You've already got it. God's not punishing you. God loves you just the way you are. And like that verse just read, that perfect love is what casts out all fear. In perfect love, there's no fear. Fear is simply a lie. There's a Russian author that I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but I'll put it up there so you know I'm not lying. And he quotes this, he says this, and I like it a lot. Fear is simply the consequence of every lie. That may be a broad statement, but if you think about it this way, fear, you're being scared of something and you living in fear. Not the feeling of fear, right? We're going to feel that. But us choosing to live in fear is simply a consequence of believing a lie. The Bible says that Satan is the father of lies. Satan is the father of lies. And he wants to lie to you, and he's super clever at making you feel like you're worth nothing, so you're fearful for your life, for your kids' life, for people around you. This simple truth today is what I want you to leave with. Fear is a liar. Fear is a bully, and you need to beat it up. Fear is a liar. The team's going to come out. We're going to sing that song. There's a great song out there called Fear is a Liar. And what I want you to do is, the lyrics are going to be on the screen. If you want to engage with it, that's fine, because if you know the song. But I really want you to focus on these words. Sometimes you just got to get strong. You got to get bold. And you got to get mad at the devil and say, devil, I'm not going to fear. You may feel it again, but you can rise up and say, fear, you don't have a place in my life. You don't have a place to run me or rule me anymore. You can kick fear in the face and say, you don't belong in my world. And as we hear this song, I pray that it would minister to your heart and tell you that when you feel fear and what you're feeling sometimes on the inside, when fear gets louder than faith, that it's not real. It's a lie. Would you bow your heads with me? I want to pray. God, I just thank you as we hear the words of this song, that your truth would speak louder than it ever has before to us. That we would deep down on the inside know and understand that when we feel fear, it's not truth. Your word is true, and we trust that. We thank you, God, for what you did on the cross so we don't have to experience fear. But we can know that your love is stronger than our fear.
He told you you're not good enough. He told you you're not right. When he told you you're not strong enough to put up a good fight. When he told you you're not worthy. When he told you you're not loved. When he told you you're not beautiful, you'll never be enough. Take your breath, stop you in your steps. Fear is a liar. You rob your rest, steal your happiness. So cast your fear in the fire, 'cause fear is a liar. When he told you you were trouble, you'll forever be alone. When he told never find a home. When he told you you were dirty and you should be ashamed. When he told you you could be the one that grace could never change. Oh, he will take your breath, stop you in your steps. Your rest, steal your happiness, cast your fear in the fire. 'Cause fear, he is a liar. Let your fire fall and cast out all my fears. Let your fire fall, your love is all I fear. So let your fire fall and cast out all my fears. Let your fire fall, your love is all I fear. Let your fire fall and cast out all my fears. Let your fire fall, your love is all I fear. Let your fire fall and cast out all my fears. Let your fire fall, your love is all I fear. Oh, fear is a liar. He will take your breath, stop you in your steps. Fear, he is a liar. He will rob your rest, steal your happiness. Cast your fear in the fire. 'Cause fear, he is a liar. 'Cause fear, he is a liar.
You can grab a seat this morning a second. Fear is a liar and a bully. And you can choose faith over fear. There's a great Psalms, chapter 91, and I want to read you the whole thing. It's 16 verses. Because it's called the Psalms of Protection. And I talked to someone after first gathering, and he said, every time I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm feeling restless, I pick up my Bible and I read Psalms 91. And he's like, every time I've read it, I can't finish it because the peace of God comes over me and I fall asleep, because God's peace is stronger than your fear. So next time you feel afraid and you can't shake it, that's okay. Let God come in and take it away. Read Psalms 91. I mean, all of Psalms is amazing, all of Proverbs, whole Bible, obviously. But there's something special about Psalms 91. And I want you to hear it like God is speaking to you, and that this is the promise for you in your life. Those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This I declare of the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. He is my God, and I am trusting Him. For He will rescue you from every trap and protect you from the fatal plague. He will shield you with His wings. He will shelter you with His feathers. His faithful promises are your armor and your protection. Do not be afraid of the terrors of the night, nor fear the dangers of the day, nor dread the plagues that stalks in darkness, nor the disaster that strikes at midday. Though 1,000 fall at your side, though 10,000 are dying around you, these evils will not touch you. If you make the Lord your refuge, if you make the Most High your shelter, no evil will conquer you. No plague will come near your dwelling. For he orders his angels to protect you wherever you may go. They will hold you with their hands to keep you from striking your foot on a stone. You will trample down lions and poisonous snakes. You will crush fierce lions and serpents under your feet. The Lord says, I will rescue those who love me. I will protect those who trust in my name. When they call on me, I will answer. I will be with them in trouble. I will rescue them and honor them. I will satisfy them with long life and give them my salvation. That's God's promise to you today. You don't have to live in fear. When the doctor gives you a bad report, I get it, you'll be scared, but you don't have to live in your fear. You can choose to live in the pool, in the water of faith, because Jesus is always with you. You can swim with Jesus because he'll never let go. You can live in your faith. We're going to sing one more song. We got plenty of time today. And it's called I'm No Longer a Slave. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I'm a child of God. You may doubt God's love for you today because of how you've lived or what you've done, the mistakes you've made. But God's word says you are his kid. You are his child. So there's no reason for you to fear because I love you, because I'm here for you. My fears are drowned in God's perfect love. I love the bridge. It says, you split the sea so I can walk right through it. Just like the children of Israel. You split the sea so I can walk right through it and have my miracle on the promised land. My fears are drowned in perfect love. You set me free so I can stand and sing I'm a child of God. As we sing this song, and however you can engage, sit, stand, lift your hands, whatever it is for you to engage with God, declare these words over your life. Whether you feel it or not, I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. Don't just say it, but believe it deep down in your soul as we sing this song.
You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies till all my fears are gone. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. From my mother's womb, you have chosen me. Love has called my name. I've been born again to your family. Your blood flows through my veins. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer
Come on, you believe that this morning? That you are God's kid? You may not feel it, and the devil may lie to you this week and say you're not God's kid, like he doesn't love you, you screwed up, and you're a failure, you're a mistake. You say, no, that's not what God says, and God's truth is stronger and more powerful than the devil's lie to you. So stand on the word of God today. Stand on your faith and not your fear. And you'll have an amazing week. So when you see water this week, you're going to go swimming this summer. Say, I'm going to choose the pool of faith. I'm not going to choose the pool of fear. Amen? Amen. Well, as you go today, we got a prayer team up here that would like to pray with you if you need anything on that.